Welcome back. You're listening to AgPhD Radio. We are talking about organic matter, which could be a secret weapon on your farm for saving money, for making bigger yields, for being more successful even in the tough years. We love it, and we're working on building that with every decision we make on our farm. Talk more about that. We'll take your questions at 844-44-AGPHD as well. Got Doug Phelps with us right now with Sipcam Agro. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Darren. How are you guys?
Well, doing well. And, you think about organic matter in the soil, I think about how it impacts everything, including microbial life and mineralization. There's just so many good things about it. I know you work with a lot of these types of things, biologicals and humics and fulvics and those types of things. How can we build this organic matter, and how can we get the most out of it?
Well, that's kind of been an age-old question in the farming industry. And, as an example, folks out west, out in western United States, add tons and tons of compost and manures, yet you continue to see no real major improvement in the organic matter content. So what I'd like to do over my career is, rather than trying to change the entire acre foot of soil, what if we take the active ingredient of organic matter, the horsepower in that, and put it where we get the best use of it, in furrow, in the seed row, in the root zone, and focus on taking that horsepower, which is humic substances, humics and fulvics, and we can add those in judicious applications to offset the lack of organic matter in the rest of the farming acre. And one of the big things that people need to understand is that as we have been intensely farming and ramping up production and yields, we've been stripping the most active component, which is the fulvic fraction, out of the soil. And that's where you can add just parts per million of this fulvic material back in furrow, at planting, on the seed, and a foliar application, and really see a big impact from that application, because it is so essential to crop production.
Yeah, what an awesome deal where you can, like you say, why not just take the active ingredient here from the organic material and put it where you want it, and also when you want it. And this is something right now, there's a lot of folks that I've talked to that are out spraying corn at tasseling time with fungicide. One of the things that I've heard a lot of talk about again this year has been fulvic acid. What difference does that make in these foliar applications too?
Well, it is, once again, fulvic is the most plant active fraction. Humic is the soil active fraction. But when we're at this crop stage where the plant is developing the seed, it's pollinating, it's trying to fill and grow that ear, the most important part is that fulvic to help reduce the stress on the crop, to help transport that fungicide and any nutritionals into the plant, and then move it within the plant where where the plant needs it. And we call it the mighty molecule for a reason, because it is so essential. Do you need it in order to grow your crop? No. But in the olden days, before we really started ramping up our yield efforts and our yield goals, we were putting ample fulvic material back into the soil through disking it in. We're not doing that as much anymore, so that supplemental foliar application will give that plant that organic, natural compound that it's been looking for.
Yeah, what a difference that can make. We're talking with Doug Phelps here with Sipcam Agro about organic matter in the soil, how to use what we know about that to grow bigger crops. Doug, still a lot of time left here in this growing season, still a chance to make a difference out there in fields. What are some of the other things you're seeing around this topic that are being used and ways to make that happen on farms?
Unfortunately, it doesn't have to really do with the Midwest crops, but out in California and in some of these irrigated acres, taking these humic substances, putting them in each irrigation so that you're supplementing that active ingredient of organic matter throughout the growing season. As we get to harvest, we tend to cut the water off. The crop wants to stress, and having these materials in that growing environment definitely help sustain and reduce the stress associated with yield loss as we move into harvest.
Yeah, lots of different tips and tricks you can get talking to growers of other crops. I always appreciate that kind of knowledge. Thanks for sharing that tip right there, Doug. We really appreciate that. And thanks for having me on the show today. Really appreciate digging in on this topic a little bit, and look forward to talking to you again down the road.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll take care.
You bet. Thanks. Brian, Doug mentions humics and fulvics, and I do get that from growers sometimes that say, okay, you guys are talking about humics and fulvics. We get that naturally in our soil, and we do in very low concentrations. It's kind of interesting if you can utilize those products, in the furrow or in a foliar application or something like that, where you can directively apply them and put them on right when you need them. They can make a big difference.
Yeah, and you're talking the same basic materials, but it is a little bit different, and we would just encourage anybody, try some stuff. I guess I'll just tell you, we've done a lot of research on these humics and fulvics. What we found with the humics is we've actually gotten better results in worse soil. So, for example, I would say where we saw the best results was when the pH was out of whack. So if the pH was in the 6s, let's say we had good organic matter levels. Let's say we had lots of tile, we were raising 250 bushel corn, the humics didn't pay as well. Well, if we had any adverse soil conditions, really sandy ground, crazy heavy ground, poorly drained ground, soil pH outside the 6s, then we were seeing more response. So I don't know for sure what you're going to see on your farm, but I just tell you, we usually look at the humics as something in the soil. The fulvics, we do more with the foliar fertilizer products, some biological, natural products. We've had pretty good luck doing some of that in furrow. The fulvic is the more concentrated and more active part of the humic acid. So anyway, I'd just say we've used both humic and fulvic with success, but you have to use them in the right places and don't overspend.